that Vieira was looking for a lot. That's the first time I heard about it. And at that time, she gave them a list of the available lots she had. The other shady deal, the Ord High School purchased lots for their new addition. There was a gentleman that bought 2 houses for the high school privately. They were listed for sale with Wolf Realty. They were bought for what the people wanted for them, and that was bought in '05. If you check the records, that was a year before the school ever decided to do anything. We were trying to plan ahead and purchase some ground before we decided what we were going to do. We didn't know what we were going to do. But this gentleman agreed to buy them, keep renting them, and then if other properties came up for sale, we were going to buy them. Or the school was going to buy them. The other 6 lots were purchased by Wolf Realty directly from the people for the school. And every one of them, I've got a price list right here, what each one of them sold for. It's public information. Each one of them was given over assessed value, way over assessed value. Each one of them was bought from the people, and the people knew the school was buying them. 4 of the people were tickled to death to sell them. I guess that's my accusation of shady land dealing. As far as Mr. Brock, I guess that was the accusations he had. Mr. Edgehill calling the council members. Refusal to put electric service on his property down by the river. After confronted, Mr. Edgehill said, well, I never really asked him to put electric service in. Okay. He called council members and said, I refuse to put in electric service.
I never said that.
Okay. The tree trimming, silent bidding at the Barnes reunion, or not reunion, benefit. I signed up for tree trimming at the silent auction. I also signed up for 9 other silent deals. I was trying to help the Barneses out with a benefit, so I signed actually 9 bids. I thought if I won the tree trimming, I had trees to be trimmed at the Leonard Manchester property on North 22nd Street. And they still need trimmed. If you look, I can't mow under the trees. That was what I signed up for the tree trimming. Garage leveling, backfilling, where I built my garage. I was accused of using city equipment to bring that completely up, leveled out. Roger Fromm did that, worked for me. He got the dirt from Jade Stunkel's property and raised that up. Stealing of a garage shed. Now that's a big one. My sister-in-law sold her property on M Street. The buyer of the property did not want the shed. He didn't want to pay extra for the shed. So he said, you can take it off anytime you want. Happened to snow, froze in, we didn't get the shed moved. My wife talked to the owner on M Street. He said, it doesn't matter, you can go in anytime you want and remove that shed. So after work, 3 or 4 of our guys went down there, picked up the shed, moved it over to my property. I bought it from my sister-in-law. I was going to move it to one of my rentals. At that time, Mr. Miller from the police department called on me for trespassing and stealing his shed. And you're shaking your head. This is what you told the council members.
No, that's what I received too.
Anyway, I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, the police officer said, no, he wants to file charges. And then I offered to take the shed back, and he didn't want the shed back. In fact, he wanted to file trespassing if I took the shed back. When 2 weeks before that, he told my wife it was okay to wait. But he would take $200 for the shed. So I think that's pretty low life there. Trimming of trees, I guess this goes back to Mr. Brock, between O Street and P, between 10th and 11th. Pretty bad canyon, isn't it?
Sure
The
is.
one you guys were going to clean up last year? We
Sure.
seen a problem there. We put that underground 7 years ago. We don't have any power lines across that canyon.
Sure looks like there's some overhead across the canyon that I can
There's a
see.
cable TV hanging across there. The wire's been underground for 7 years, Mr. Brock.
Sure doesn't look that way to me.
Well, you better open your eyes. The trees hanging out on the road. The way we generally handle this is customers or people, the public, usually approach the city office and say, there's a low-hanging limb, we'd appreciate it if you trim it off, or something of that nature. Rick would look at it. Usually Rick hits them with a motor grader before anybody else does, and then if he can't reach them, he comes and gets us, and we trim them. I don't think once you have ever put in a notice that the tree limbs were hanging low on that street, were they? You know,
It's so obvious. Does it need to have a notice, Mr. Markowski?
well, I tell you the truth.
It's so obvious. Is this something that we need to point out to you?
Well, like the trees.
Excuse me, and I'll
Anyway,
do
I'm
that
done.
next
I'm done. Rick and I drove down that street today. We didn't see any real obvious low-hanging limbs that weren't any different than other blocks. If they are a problem, we will trim them. But I guess that gets most of the accusations, and I just wanted to express my point of view. And I know power board members and council members were called. I was getting calls at my meetings. My daughter's got calls. It's an embarrassment, and it shouldn't be. Then that's all I have to say.
Okay,
I second.
we have a motion, a second, to pay the bills and approve the minutes. Any discussion? If not, we'll roll call.
Stumple?
Yes.
Preston?
Yes.
Wolfish?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Petzler?